The main creative idea that I had this week was the idea I had based on Lucas's interviews. This idea consists of using the 2 videos from myself and Phoebe asking Lucas about who would play him in the film of his life. Creating the script from the responses would act as a transitional moment where whoever would be playing him would be laughing with someone over this question and his responses whilst moving the audience to a new space. This idea was met with a great response after sharing it on Wednesday, and the idea was raised that it would work great as a part of Lucas's drunk bit that he created as like a drunk rambling about how Jake Gyllenhaal would play him in the film of his life. So I started to work on this whole idea with Tash and Lucas Thursday morning. Then, after sharing with the class, they thought it would work split in half as 2 possible transitional scenes where we could first possibly meet drunk Lucas, then later on hear the spiel about Jake Gyllenhaal. But again, all of these ideas are subject to change depending on the progression of the show, and it might not happen, but this was the main idea that I had this week. So the other creative idea that I had in this context was my short sequence within our office scene that we started to work on Thursday. The idea for this scene is that some of us would be portraying different staff members in the main office: Lydia, Shelby, Jess, Rob, Sean and Richard. We all work to create an 8 count or a 4 count of movement that would both be typical actions in an office like typing, note-taking, stapling, etc., or things relevant to our character. For me as Rob, it involved staring at Jules, who would be portraying Sean, in disgust based on a comment that Rob made in his verbatim interview discussing that his pet peeve is Sean picking his nose in the office and no one noticing. A video of the first attempts at this sequence will be on my site as additional research and evidence for practicing these movements. So each of us in this part created our own counts of movement for this scene to share with Lydia later on in the day. A suggestion she made was to include some of the actual responses from the interviews amongst the soundscape we would play during this scene, using like the staplers, typing, etc. So actually having the physical words that they spoke in those interviews in the office to show these different characters. So both of these ideas will be developed upon or adapted next week as we continue to piece together and form the content of the show.